Welcome back to another episode of The Road Chose Me. My name's Dan Grech, and on today's episode, it's time for a little bit of fun, something a bit more enjoyable. It's time to put some branding and some stickers on the Jeep Gladiator that I'll be driving all the way around Australia. So on my past expedition, I had a couple of fun things, and it's time to continue that trend. If you're interested to see what I've decided to go with and how I go about putting it on, stick around. We'll get into all the details right now. So the idea of putting branding or stickers on a vehicle for a long expedition, it is a bit of a controversial one. There's a lot of people who think putting branding like that is going to attract a lot of unwanted attention. And then of course there's people, even like me, who are trying to attract a lot of attention, and that's what we want. So before I go ahead and put stickers on this thing, I thought I'd give you some background into what I've done before and the reasons why I did what I did and how it worked out for me. So when I was setting out to drive from Alaska to Argentina, I didn't have a following, I didn't even have Instagram, I didn't have any sponsors, I didn't work with any companies. I just did that trip because I wanted to. And so there was no branding on the vehicle of any kind. But something I wanted to do for a whole bunch of reasons was to put a map of the Americas on the hood of the Jeep. And I did that partly to inspire myself, to keep me grounded so I could look at that map on a daily basis, try and figure out, where I was, what was coming next, keep me in the game. And it was really fun too, because I could see it from the driver's seat. Especially once the line started growing, I could actually see my progress continuing to grow. And it turned out, I didn't even know, it was a really great way to connect with military and connect with border guards as well. When I was stopped, when they were sort of a bit confused about what I was doing, I could show them on the map and I could say, I started here and I'm driving to here, the whole of the Americas, North, Central and South. And oftentimes they would be like, really? No way. And they'd like call over their buddies and they'd start telling their friends my whole story. And so it turned out to be a really great way to kind of communicate the scale of the trip. And so it kept me engaged and it helped engage the border guards as well. So it was a heck of a lot of fun. And the way I did that first map, I actually went old school. I bought some tracing paper from an art supply store. I printed out a map on about 19 pieces of regular size paper. I sticky taped them all together. And then I traced it out on the map by hand, and I actually just drew it on with a paint pen. And that worked perfectly fine. One downside though was that the map actually faded quite a lot in the sun. So about every 3 or 6 months, I had to go and trace over the entire map as well as redraw my route in yellow. And so that worked fine for the Pan America trip. And that map became like such a feature of my trip and keeping me happy, keeping other people happy. I knew I was going to do it all over again. And so for the Africa Jeep, I did make a map on the hood again of Africa, and I upped the fancy a little bit. I went to a car decal place and I had them print it out for me. Essentially, it was just a really big clear sticker with that map. And the reason for the clear sticker was so that I could draw in my route again with a paint pen. And so actually that paint, it's not on the hood of the Jeep, it's actually just on the clear sticker that's on the hood of the Jeep. And so the idea being, I could take it off or whatever and it's not permanent. And that worked really well again. Same story, it kept me motivated, it helped explain to border guards and other people I bumped into. And to be honest with you, before I went to Africa, my geography wasn't that great. I didn't know the names of all the countries. I often didn't even know what countries bordered what countries. And so being able to have access to that map at all times, you could walk over and say, I have to get out of Nigeria, but it's tricky. What borders Nigeria? I can have a look. And if I take that route, where do I wind up? So it actually was quite practical as well as being fun and keeping me happy. On top of that too, I was working with companies for the Africa trip and I did put a lot of branding on the vehicle. But here's a very important but, all of that branding only stayed on the vehicle for North America before I left for the trip, and then some of it went on again when I got back from the trip. But it's really important to point out, I intentionally took off all of that branding for Africa. And this is, lots of people have strong feelings either way. I think the goal is to either have a vehicle that stands out so much that people are going to notice it and look at it and say, wow, this guy is really doing something, I better stand back and admire it, or have a vehicle that blends in so much nobody even notices it. Just another rusty old Land Rover Defender. There's thousands of those getting around anyway. Nobody even thinks that, you know, you're probably going to have your cameras and your laptop and your passport and all that stuff inside. I think the challenge becomes when your vehicle's somewhere in the middle. It looks kind of flash and it looks clean and new, but people aren't really afraid of it because it isn't standing out so much as to sort of scream like, look at me, look at me. And so for Africa, I decided safety-wise, I didn't want people to mess with me. I didn't want people to mess with the vehicle. I decided to take all of that branding off. So the only thing that stayed on there for Africa was the map on the hood. And I think that was a really good choice. Once the Jeep got a bit dirty, once it blended in a bit, I mean, obviously it stood out. Obviously people knew it wasn't a local vehicle. It had Canadian plates on it. But all in all, it wasn't screaming for attention. It wasn't really blatantly obvious. And I didn't have a bunch of brand names down the side, basically advertising all the expensive stuff that was in or on the Jeep. So that was the decision I made for Africa, and I'm really happy with it. Obviously now we get to Australia. Things are a lot different here. Safety is entirely different than it is in Nigeria, than it is in Sudan. Australia is one of the safest countries in the world. Is there a chance of a smash and grab? Yeah, absolutely, that happens. Do cars get stolen in Australia? Yeah, of course they do. But realistically, is someone gonna put a gun to my head and is my life going to be in danger? No, I think the chances of that are so remotely slim that it isn't even really worth talking about. And so for Australia, I do have the opportunity to do a bit of extra branding, a bit of look at me, which I think is going to be a lot of fun. That's what I want. I would like more people to follow my YouTube channel. I would like to have more followers on Instagram. So that's what I've decided to do for this trip. Of course, I will have a map on the hood, and I'm pretty excited. I played around in Photoshop for a few days. And definitely, I have to remind myself not to be a super serious engineer from time to time. So intentionally, there's a few features on the map that they bring a smile to my face. And after all, that's the goal. That's why I'm doing this trip. I've decided I'm going to put branding on the 2 front doors with "The Road Chose Me" and a couple of logos. And this time, Yokohama are a very big part of this trip. They've been supporting me now for a couple of years. We've worked together on some fun projects, and I want to show them some love. I want to thank them for supporting me. So I will have some Yokohama branding on the Jeep, one up on the windshield and then a couple on the back. And so that's what I need to do today, is I need to install those stickers. And talking to the guys who printed them, they could have installed them, but it was going to be really expensive. They pretty much encouraged me to do it myself, and I love doing things myself anyway. I can save money, I can learn the process. And the last one that I had done for the Africa Jeep, I actually watched the guys do it when I was in Arizona, when I got that thing made up. And essentially, this is what I'm told anyway, let's see how it works out in about 20 minutes, is you put some liquid detergent in a spray bottle with some water, spray it on, peel the backing off the sticker, and then stick it on. And basically, because of the water and the detergent under there, nothing actually sticks. And from what I understand, the whole thing should be really easy to slide around, get it into position. Then basically you can just use a squeegee, slowly get out all of that water and all of that detergent, spread it out, spread it out, spread it out, and it'll just slowly start sticking more and more. And eventually, as it dries out completely, it will be perfectly stuck, and the detergent doesn't affect the adhesive at all. So it will still wind up as a really good stick, so to speak. So that's basically my plan today. I just spent a bit of time wiping down the areas where I want to put a sticker. Of course, a white car, you never really notice how dirty it is until you actually wipe it off. So I'm going to start with the smaller stickers because I feel like they'll be less stressful, and hopefully I can learn some skills about how I'm actually going to stick these things on. And then I'll graduate, and the final one that I'm going to do is the massive hood sticker. And I'll talk more about it when I get to it. I decided to go big on the hood sticker because I think it's going to look better. So that's kind of the preamble. That's what I've done in the past. That's my reasoning for what I'm doing this time. Is it the perfect choice? Of course it isn't. Should you do what I'm doing? Of course not. You should think about your own trip. Think about where you're going in the world. Think about what you're doing. Do you want to get noticed? Are you trying to attract new followers on YouTube like I am? Or are you just doing the trip for you, more like my Pan American Highway trip, where I was just excited to be out there on the road doing my own thing? And to be honest with you, I'd never even given a second thought to YouTube, and Instagram hadn't even been invented yet. So it just wasn't even a priority in my mind. But that's the overall plan. Let's get to work and put some stickers on. Fingers crossed, they wind up pretty straight. All right, so there we go. I think that looks super good. I'm really happy with the way that the black really pops against the bright white. And just in terms of how it went, you might have seen the stickers that I did on the back. As soon as I put them on, they were stuck. They wouldn't move at all. And so I didn't really understand why. I used the spray bottle, but they wouldn't move. And then I did the sticker on the top of the windshield. And that one's a bit different. It isn't a big clear sticker like the other ones are. It's actually vinyl because it has white letters. So every individual letter is a separate sticker. And they're kind of on a backing plate and then a front plate. And you could see once I peeled off the front, everything stays where it should. So that one was easy enough. And then on the doors, on the other side we did first, I had my helpers here. We put on a lot of soapy water spray. And we didn't only put it on the door, we also put it on the back of the sticker. And that made all the difference. We actually used way too much and it was super, super slippery. We could move the sticker around all over the place. And it took us a long time to get all of that liquid out from between the sticker and the door. But it worked, it got us the end result. And then so on this side, we tried to use even less spray and kind of dial it in and get it what we want. So all in all, I'm super happy with how it turned out. And now I kind of understand the process a bit more. If you're ever gonna do this, spray on soapy water, not only on the surface of the vehicle, but also on the sticky side of the sticker. I guess what that means is you end up with a soapy film on both pieces and then they just glide over each other. The soap makes it slippery. And so actually I'm really happy I did it in the order I did. I started with the small ones, I moved up. I'm pretty sure I understand how it works now. And so the big one now is the map that's going onto the hood. And so it is a big sticker. It's 1 meter by a bit over 1 meter, like 3 feet by 3 feet. So it's a really big clear sticker. And obviously you don't want to have any wrinkles or any bubbles in that thing. And the hood of the Jeep Gladiator is not flat. It has quite a lot of contours. So it's going to be a little bit of a guess as to how it actually handles all of that. I think it's going to be okay. We're going to find out. But before I can put it on, I have to take off all of the things that are on the hood that are in the way. So there's the 2 big hood vents. I'm going to take those out, and I'm also going to take off the washer spray nozzles, which are sort of built into those big black things that the windshield folds down onto. Take them all off so that I have a blank canvas. I'll put the sticker down, I'll get it exactly where I want it, and then I'll run a razor blade around the inside of the holes and put those things back on the outside of the hood. So that's the next job. Let's get to it. All right, so after all of that, I decided to tear off that sticker and throw it away. That's right, it really didn't work out after all that effort, and lots of lessons learned here, so I can explain to you what went wrong and what I'm going to do differently next time. So basically, the problem was that the Jeep hood is curved in 2 directions. So not only does it have these big ripples here going from the center out, but when you look from here, you can see it's significantly curved that way as well. So the clear sticker that I bought, and the reason this is all a big problem, is because that thing was just a clear sticker. That was not a vinyl wrap, so that's not the same kind of thing that you would use if you were wrapping a car. And the reason I did that is because the place here in town that printed it for me, they didn't have a roll of clear vinyl wrap. And they said if they were going to buy one, it's about $1,000 a roll, and they've never needed it before, so they weren't too keen on buying one just for me. So we talked around it and they said, why don't we have a go? We'll just do it on a clear sticker, and with any luck, the sticker will just contour anyway. And so the plan was to be able to sort of cut some reliefs in it and get it to bend in both directions at the same time without ending up with wrinkles and ripples. That's really hard to say fast, and all of those kinds of things. And as you saw on film, we kept compromising more and more. We cut off things, tried to cut reliefs in it. We were eventually going to stick, like Tasmania and the Road Chose Me back on, but it just wasn't coming together. And the more I looked at it and the more I stood back and thought about it, I don't want to have a sticker on there that's in lots of little bits and pieces. I feel like mud's going to get under there, bugs, stone chips. I want one big sticker like I had when I drove around Africa. So I have to redo that. I really like how it looked. I think it was fantastic, the overall design. So I'm not going to change a thing on the design. But what I need to do is in the nearby bigger cities, once we're out of COVID lockdown, I'm going to call around and find companies that actually have vinyl wrap in clear. And then I'll get that printed on the vinyl wrap if that's possible in clear. And then I'll probably get some professional to actually install it on the hood because they're going to be really good at stretching it and getting it to go around those contours. And those guys are pros at wrapping vehicles. So I think that's going to be the right way to do it. The other option that was suggested to me is I just get it done in white and just wrap the entire hood with white, which is a pretty close match to the rest of the Jeep. It isn't perfect. And I think that idea could work. Probably the biggest downside is that it would cover up my Rubicon stickers. And being a Jeep guy, I want to keep my Rubicon stickers and I don't want to make sort of knockoff imitations of them and stick them back on. I think those always look close, but they never quite look right. So lessons learned, next time for complicated curves, I need to use a vinyl wrap, not just a clear sticker. But the clear sticker did work exceptionally well, I think, on both front doors. I am super happy with how that looks. I think it's incredible. Obviously the Yokohama that went on the windscreen I think looks really good as well. Having it bright white on the bright white vehicle is really great. And then of course there's the little Yokohamas at the back too. And something else that I need to think about is what I'll actually put on the rear tailgate. So I haven't decided yet, but I'm thinking about maybe a world map that shows my routes, maybe my logo, something about what I've achieved in the past. And actually, I'm showing all of that and talking about all of that with my supporters over on Patreon. So not only are they helping me bring this to life, not only are they getting behind the scenes content, they're also having input on how I build this Jeep, how I design the branding, what goes where. So if you'd like to get that early access, behind the scenes content, check it all out over on Patreon. There's a link down in the description. And all the names on the screen right now, these people are already supporting me on Patreon and they're helping me design all of this stuff and bring it all together so that the Jeep will be ready to drive all the way around Australia. So once again, thanks very much for watching. The build of the Gladiator is evolving and a very big piece of the puzzle is going on next. I'm really excited about that and hopefully some more parts will arrive from around the world and I can sink my teeth into a few more big modifications before I hit the road here in a few weeks. Whether the final pieces have arrived or not, I've decided I'm gonna hit the road anyway. I'm gonna go and have some mini adventures, at least locally, some shakedown type stuff before I start venturing out further and further. So new videos come out every Monday and Thursday, plenty of content coming on the Gladiator before I get out on the adventure. Once again, thanks very much for watching. Stay safe out there and maybe I'll bump into you on the road.